Okay, this is the next exercise, which is exercise number 11. So this is a pretty interesting part. Most of it's fairly simple for IronCAD to create, just using our standard ways of creating things. We just have to do a couple of cross-section edits for this piece here, which will actually use a slot, and then just change the tangencies on the outer side. This piece actually here is actually really interesting how to do in IronCAD, so I'll show you that as part of this demonstration. So let me go ahead and get started. So again, we are working in our units here for millimeters and grams. So we'll go ahead and start off with our base shape out here. We can start either with a slot would be one way to do this. We know basically from center to center, so it's easy to start with just a rectangle here. So we know the center of this thing is 80 overall. So we just set that to 80, and we know the height of this base is 27 on this. So we know the height is 27, and the width of this is our diameter of our hole. So it's going to be 50. So we'll set that there. Next, we can just simply drag and drop our cylinder on here, and we'll drop it on here, snap it down to the bottom, and snap it over here to our side in this case. So we've got our tangent C at 50, and we just snapped it to the bottom as well. So that gives us our location there. And if we want, we can go ahead and make a copy of this guy to the other side using our triball. We can just essentially drag it over here and create a copy here on that. So now we got both cylinders on this one. On this one, however, it is flush with that. This one on this side actually goes up a little taller. In this case, it's going to be 70 from the bottom. So we just click on that guy, change it to 70, and it gives us our overall height there. So this end's actually a little bit different than this other end. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and edit the cross section of this, because what this one actually has is actually just a rectangle cut on the end of this. So we're going to draw a 2-point line from our center point here. And we're going to draw this out, and it's supposed to be 25 for that. So we can just drop that there. We can do the same thing on the bottom side, draw it out 25, and then just draw our 2-point connection line here to here. And then we can just trim off this part of our circle and connect this here. And this shouldn't be nothing here. I can delete that, but there's nothing there that's, I don't know what that point exactly is for, but this is what our profile now looks like inside of here. We can go ahead and finish shape. Let's see, what's wrong with that? What is this? Oh, sorry. Forgot to trim off the other end there. That was my part. My bad. There we go. So we want to trim off that so we just have our smooth connection. That was my bad. So we'll go ahead and finish that. And it gives us our base shape here. And then inside of here, we have a couple shapes here. We have a cylinder that's going to be on the center point of this guy. And that's going to be at a diameter of 35. And it's going to be a depth of 10. There's actually going to be a depth of, 10 on that shape. And then we want to draw a through hole on this. We'll just drop a through hole on this. And that diameter for that is 25. So we can set that. Next, we can drop a rectangular cut. I'm just going to drop it on this curve, holding the shift key. That'll snap it into the center. And we can snap this to our center point here. And we know the diameter of this cut out is actually 8. So we can just pull this in with a right click, type in 8, and we've got our cut there. And now we can just simply snap that down to the bottom to get our cut on that end. So that was fairly simple to do that piece there. Next, we want to draft this face here. It's going to have a 15-degree draft on that. So we'll just go to our featured toolbar, do our draft face, pick our top face, and then we're going to draft this face. We're going to do that 15 degrees. So that gives us our draft face of 15 degrees inside of there. And it's got a blend here of 15 as well. So we can simply type that in, make sure I did type that correct. Yeah, so 15 for that. So that gives us our base for that object here. And I'll draw this other piece in here in just a second here. So I'll show you how that's done. Next, we want to have this piece here that is not quite on the center line as a slot. So I'm going to drop this slot feature out here. I'm going to drop it on the center. We're going to move it. So I'm going to rotate this around 90 degrees inside of here. And we know the center point of this guy is actually going to be a certain distance. So we're going to say lock this axis and do an edit point from here because it's not actually on the center line. So that's 80. It's actually 76 from that location. So we're going to hit that to 76, and then we can just snap this down to the bottom inside of here, and then we can set our overall size. In this case, this size is symmetrically here. So if I pull one, it changes both. Now we're going to set that to 75 is from the center of these holes. If you looked at the drawing, and then you got a 14 radius on top of that. So it's going to be 75 plus 28 to give us our total distance there. Let's make sure that's right, 103. So yeah, there we go on that. And then the overall size of this is going to be 28 to match that. So the center of this, again, is from here to here is going to be that 76, and this is our 14. So the height of this thing is actually going to be 15 inside of there, and that's kind of the start of our profile. What we want to do is edit the cross section of this, so we can go Alt-E to edit the cross section. What we need is this arc up here to be making our tangencies, so we're just going to use construction, project this as a constraint there to get that so we can see this. If we show, we can hide all here to see what we got. That's weird. Let me do that again. Actually, we'll just do a show all. Here we go. We'll just draw a center circle here. So this one actually is not here. What we want to do is draw a 2-point here, so we can just come down to this location where this meets. Oops, there we go. I missed that. Do that again. There we go. We want to get that point there and come over and draw that point there. So we have that curve here. We're drawing it as construction inside of there. And good thing to do is just go ahead and fix that so it's in location here, so it's locked. Next, we want to make this. We can get rid of this curve here because we need to draw 2 curves on this. So we can just go ahead and delete that curve for now. And we're going to draw a 2-point, and we can use a tangency if we like. So we can draw a tangency to this object here so we can see that it's tangent, and we want to draw a tangent here so we can move over to get that location. Do the same thing on the other side. So we got our tangency, come over here until we get our tangency. Oops, missed that. Let me draw that again. There we go. Tangency, and get our tangency snap there. So now we've got our 2 tangencies here. These actually are going to be real curves. We'll just select both of those. Sorry, I keep getting the curve. There we go. Make those real curves inside of there, and we can trim off this excess geometry we don't need, which is that and that piece there. And we can actually trim off the bottom part of this circle because we do need this arc here. So we can just trim off this part of the circle here. And we're going to make this real geometry as well. So we can connect those dots to make that. There we go. So now we have this tangency. If you want to, you can put the constraints in here as well to make the tangencies to these if you like. You don't really have to, but you can do that if you like. So we go ahead and do those inside of there. So now we have our shape that's got the tangency inside of here, and we can hit finish to get our results. So we can see our result there. Last, we need to add these counterbores here. So again, we'll just drag and drop a circle onto our center point here of this object, or you can hold the shift key down, select the arc, and it'll drop it in there. And the diameter of that one is 16, and it's going to have a depth of 5 on that. And our through hole, we'll just drag and drop that out onto this, is going to have a diameter of 9 inside of there. So we'll have those 2 shapes. We can now select both of those, turn our triball on, and we're going to make a copy to the other side. So we're just going to right click to center point. And when you select this one, just right click, make a link there, hit OK. That'll create it on the other side. So those should be the exact shape that we need there. Last is this other shape here. So the one I'm going to do here is some kind of unique way to approach this. It's actually, I'm going to create a new part, and then I'm going to Boolean it together. So to do that, I'm just going to select down to the face level of these guys, and we know that this needs to be an offset or thicken shape of 7. So we're going to get a value of 7 inside of here and go ahead and thicken that. Next, I'll just drag and drop a extrude cut onto the center of this, and what I'm going to do is just going to pull this out so make sure that it cuts all of that. And the width of this shape is actually going to be 8, I believe. Let's see, that width is 8. So we can type in a value of 8 there, and we're just going to snap it down to the bottom here And I'm going to pull this up through this part. So we're going to make sure that it's cutting all the way through this. So that's kind of giving us our shape that we want, but we want the inverse. So you can actually edit the feature options and say, cut the outside shape. And that will give us our outside shape of our part. And then we can just add a cut on the top. Again, flip this over and we can get it to cut that off here in a second. So what I'll do before I do that, I'll have to apply that last. I forgot to Boolean this. So what we're going to do is Boolean this. We can cut this piece off here at the end if you like first, then Boolean it. Let's just do that. So we'll just drop that on here. We'll move this out and we'll pull that there and make sure we're, oops, this handle here. I keep grabbing the wrong handle there. This handle. There we go. Pull it to the bottom here. And we know this distance from here to our part edge is 30. So we're just going to say edit distance from point, and we're going to select that, and it's going to be a value of 30 inside of there. I got lucky on that. So let's make sure that is correct on here. So let's just double check that cut. Make sure that is 30 from there. We can put a dimension on this from our annotations just to see. We can do from here to that point, it should be 30. Yeah. So that's giving us our cut, what we want. So now we need to actually add this part here to do this. So what we're going to do is select our first part, select our second, and we're going to go to our feature ribbon and do Boolean, and it's going to be a union. Hit OK. Now this is one part here. So now we can go in here. We have our cut here. I'm just going to apply that last. There we go. So to cut that top off. And so now we essentially have our shape that we need there. And we just need to change this radius here. So we can go in here, edit face radius on this guy. And if we go to edit face radius, I'm going to change that from an 8 value. They have that as a radius of 30 inside of there. And we're going to modify that to yes. And so now we'll have a 30 there on that to give us our shape. So a really interesting way to create that. It's not too complex to do, but it just basically makes it easy for us to do that. So that's just the part of that Boolean shape that we have there, which is a brep Boolean, and we have the rest of the shape. So that's essentially the model here that we have. So we have all of our holes in this. We have our tangencies. We have our setup here. And in this case, we're going to go in our part properties, our material, it's at 7,800 inside of there. And so if we look at our model here, it should be at about 190 or 1944. It's about right for that size. So that's one way to build this model in IronCAD. So a little bit different than maybe the typical sketches where they may just draw a slotted feature, then extrude some other faces off of that in the sketches. So this is just a different way of approaching it, just trying to think in 3D again versus working with sketches all the time. Hope you enjoyed.